Pain traced cold lines down Riley Carter's spine as her date's mocking voice rose, sharp enough to split the room. She tried to stay composed, fingers curled tight beneath the table, until a shadow moved behind her. A low voice, smooth but edged with threat. "You should walk away from him." She turned and stopped breathing. Grayson Hale, a man who shouldn't know her name, yet looked at her like someone had just dared him to intervene. Rain hammered against the restaurant windows like it wanted in, like it knew she needed rescuing. Riley Carter sat across from Brent, her first date in months, watching his mouth twist with growing irritation. She'd worn her favorite soft blue dress, styled her curls, even rehearsed small talk in the mirror. None of it mattered. "You know," Brent said, leaning back as if her presence offended him, "your pictures made you seem more polished." The fork slipped in her hand, a hollow thud inside her chest. She didn't answer. He smirked, mistaking her silence for inferiority. "And honestly," he continued, voice rising loud enough for nearby tables to glance over, "I prefer women who take better care of themselves. You're cute, but not—" Her breath caught. Her fingers curled tight beneath the table. "Don't cry. Don't blink. Don't give him anything." But humiliation clung to her skin heavier than the storm outside. Brent waved for the check dramatically, as if he couldn't flee fast enough. "This was fine, but I don't think I'm interested. You're just not—" A shadow shifted behind her, a presence she felt before she saw. A low voice spoke, deep and controlled, wrapped in quiet danger. "She's not the problem here." Riley's head turned slowly, and there he stood, tall, broad-shouldered, rain-damp coat, gray eyes cold enough to silence a room, a jaw tight like he was holding back something sharp. He didn't look at her first. He looked at Brent, like the man had crossed a line he regretted. He hadn't planned to stop. He rarely interfered in strangers' lives. But the moment he stepped past their table, he'd heard the tremor in her breath, saw her fingers tense, saw a woman trying to hold dignity together while someone chipped at it piece by piece. He hated men like that, so he stepped back. "Walk away," Grayson said to Brent, voice low but lethal. "Berhell to prefer you say something you can't take back." Brent sputtered. "Who the hell are you?" Grayson finally looked at Riley, and something hit him in the ribs. Warm brown eyes rimmed with hurt she was trying desperately to hide, a softness fighting to stay upright, a strength she didn't realize she had. Unexpected, disarming, dangerous for him. "She deserves better," Grayson said softly, eyes never leaving hers. "You'll regret losing her." Brent muttered something under his breath and stormed out, humiliated. The restaurant exhaled, but Riley didn't move, and neither did Grayson. Rain light flickered across her face. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak but couldn't trust her voice. Something electric passed between them, uninvited, undeniable. "Are you all right?" he asked. She nodded, barely, but her hands were still trembling. "Have you ever held yourself together while someone tried to tear you down? What moment taught you your worth? Tell us in the comments, and of course, tell us where you are watching from." The moment she stepped outside, the rain swallowed her whole.
Cold drops mixed with the tears she refused to let fall inside. Riley kept her chin lifted, shoulders squared, walking quickly toward the parking lot as if dignity depended on speed. Her breath trembled anyway. Footsteps followed, steady, unhurried, confident. She didn't need to turn to know who they belonged to. Riley. His voice cut through the rain, warm against the cold. She froze. Grayson Hale stood a few steps behind her, rain slicking his dark hair to his forehead. He shrugged off his coat without hesitation and draped it around her shoulders before she could protest. Heat. Weight. Safety. She swallowed hard. "You're freezing," he murmured. "I'm fine," she lied. He didn't push. He only walked beside her, hands in his pockets, as though escorting her through the storm was the most natural thing in the world. They reached the parking lot, the pavement shimmering under streetlights. Riley's keys rattled slightly as she pulled them from her purse, betraying the nerve she tried to hide. A car idled across the lot, dark, still, watching. Riley paused. Is that normal?" Grayson's eyes sharpened instantly, his entire posture shifting into something alert, something dangerous. "No," he said quietly. "Stay close." He positioned himself subtly between her and the vehicle, his body a silent barrier. For a moment the car didn't move. Then, as if startled, it pulled away slowly and disappeared into the rain. Riley shivered, not from cold. "That didn't look like nothing," she whispered. "Probably someone waiting for a text," he said, but she could tell it was a lie meant to calm her. And, strangely, it worked. She unlocked her car door. Her hand shook too much to grip the handle. Grayson reached out, steadying her with 2 fingers barely grazing her wrist. The touch was nothing, and too much. "Thank you," she managed, voice thin. His gaze lingered on her for a breath too long, like he was trying to understand something about her that didn't make sense to him. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "No one should talk to you like that." She blinked, rain catching her lashes. "You barely know me. That's not the point." Something inside her loosened, a warmth pushing against the ache Brent had left. She stepped into her car, holding his coat around her like it was armor. "Riley," Grayson said again, this time softer. Her heart stumbled. He said her name as it mattered. Like she mattered. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel alone in the rain. Pike Place Market smelled of coffee, warm bread, and ocean air. Riley drifted between vendors, trying to lose herself in the weekend noise. She needed the distraction, anything to drown out the memory of Brent's words and the stranger who'd stood up for her. She paused at a flower stand, fingers brushing a bunch of pale dahlias. "Riley." She spun, nearly colliding with the chest she recognized too quickly. Grayson Hale. Daylight sharpened him, clean jaw, storm gray eyes, a calm intensity she'd felt even through the rain last night. "Wow," she said, trying to steady her voice. "Seattle's small." One corner of his mouth lifted, small enough for coincidences. Her stomach dipped. Was that teasing? She wasn't sure. A vendor grumbled at him for blocking the path, and Grayson stepped aside immediately with a quiet apology. She found herself smiling. Polite men were becoming rare. "Can I get you coffee?" he asked. She opened her mouth, then hesitated. "I don't want you to think that I pity you," he finished gently. Her throat tightened. Yes. She didn't realize how readable she was, or how much it pulled at him. "I didn't step in because I felt sorry for you," he said. "I stepped in because he crossed a line." Her eyes lifted to his, uncertain, hopeful, afraid of both. She didn't realize it, but Grayson had been thinking about her since he woke up. Her voice, the trembling hands, the way she'd fought to keep dignity intact. He didn't want to be here. He didn't want the pull. Yet, Here he was. Before she could answer, a shout cracked the air. "Heads up!" A cyclist skidded onto the slick stone path, wheels sliding straight toward her. Riley froze. He didn't. Training took over. His arm went around her waist, pulling her firmly against him as the bike whipped past with inches to spare. He felt her breath catch against his chest. He felt his own tighten. "You're okay?" he asked, voice low, controlled. She stared at him wide-eyed. "You moved so fast." Reflex, muscle memory, instinct. None of which he was supposed to reveal. He stepped back quicker than he intended, breaking the contact like it burned. People were still staring. She wasn't. She was looking at him like she'd just discovered a secret. And maybe she had. He cleared his throat. "Let me walk you out." For the first time, she didn't think to refuse, because a new question clung to her. Who exactly was Grayson Hale, and why did he look at her like protecting her was instinct? Have you ever met someone who unsettled you in all the right ways? By Monday, Riley convinced herself she wouldn't see Grayson again, but life had other plans. She spotted him outside her building as she left for work, hands in pockets, head tilted slightly like he was listening to the city breathe. He wasn't waiting for her. He was simply there. The next afternoon, she saw him again at the cafe near her office. And the following day, across the street from the design firm where she freelanced. Not close, not watching, just appearing. Their paths were weaving naturally, annoyingly, irresistibly. Each time he offered a nod or a warm half-smile, each time her chest tightened in ways she didn't understand. It felt like the universe kept nudging them towards something neither of them asked for. He noticed her before she noticed him. Not on purpose. The city was large, but her presence was impossible to miss. Riley walked with quiet intention. Shoulders straight, chin lifted. The soft determination of someone who had learned to endure and rise anyway. He admired that more than he should. Then he saw it, a post online, Brent's account still public. A mocking photo of Riley at the restaurant, captioned with something cruel. Grayson's jaw hardened. Before she could ever see it, he handled it, reported, removed, traced. Brent's digital footprint vanished under the weight of Grayson's quiet influence. No one would humiliate her again. Not while he was breathing. She found him later that evening at the waterfront, standing near the railing as the sun dipped behind gray clouds. Light brushed his profile, sharp, unreadable, undeniably compelling. "You're everywhere," she said. He turned, eyes warning just a fraction. Or maybe we move through the world the same way. Her breath fluttered. A breeze pushed her forward slightly. She caught the railing, but he reached out instinctively, his hand brushing her waist, steadying her. A tender moment. Too intimate for strangers. She felt heat rise under her skin. He dropped his hand quickly, clearing his throat. "Sorry. I'm not," she whispered before she could stop herself. Something flickered in his eyes, something he didn't want her to see. A secret, a tension, a truth held tightly behind controlled breath. "Riley," he said slowly, "there are things about me you shouldn't get close to." But she was already. The storm rolled in quicker than the forecast promised. Wind shoved against the city, rattling signs and bending umbrellas backwards as thunder crawled across the sky. Riley stepped out of the office building, clutching her tote to her chest, trying to breathe past the tightness rising in her throat. She'd tried to ignore it all day. The whispers at work, Brent's name popping up in a coworker's conversation, the lingering feeling of that shadowed car from before. Her thoughts spiraled, faster and darker with every step she took. By the time she reached the bus stop, rain was pouring in sheets, blurring the world into streaks of color and sound. A flash of headlights triggered the memory of that parked car. Her lungs seized, her vision tunneled. Not here. Not now. Her chest constricted, breaths turning sharp and shallow. Riley stumbled backward, gripping the metal pole beside her. Her pulse thundered in her ears, louder than the storm. Her knees buckled. Before she hit the ground, strong arms caught her. He had only meant to drive by, just to be sure she got home safe, nothing more. But the moment he saw her body sway, saw panic twist her features, something inside him snapped. He was out of the car before thinking, the storm soaking him instantly. Riley! He cupped her cheeks gently, steadying her face. Her breaths came in fast, broken bursts. Her fingers clutched his shirt like she was trying not to drown. "You're okay," he whispered. "Breathe with me. Match me." He held her against his chest, his coat shielding her from the worst of the rain. Her hair clung to her cheeks. Her body trembled violently. "Grayson, I can't." Her voice fractured. "I've got you." And he meant it with a sincerity that rattled him. When her breathing finally slowed, she sagged into him, her forehead against his collarbone. He rested his chin lightly on her head, letting her take whatever strength she needed.
She trusted him. Too much. More than she should. He exhaled shakily. "There was someone in my past," he said quietly, surprising even himself. "Someone I cared about. I lost her because I wasn't enough. Not fast enough. Not strong enough." Riley lifted her head, eyes glistening with rain and something softer. "You don't have to tell me this." "I do," he said, voice low. "Because I can't." He stopped. The words clawed at his throat. "I can't lose someone again. I can't lose you." But saying it would change everything, and the storm already had them too close. Instead, he brushed a wet curl from her cheek, his hand lingering longer than necessary. "Let me take you home," he murmured. Lightning split the sky behind them. And the way she looked at him, like he was no longer a stranger, terrified him more than the storm. Have you ever had a moment where someone held you together when you couldn't do it alone? He found Brent easily. People like Brent always hid behind loud voices and cheap confidence, but when Grayson stepped into the dim back corner of the bar Brent frequented, the man's bravado cracked like thin glass. Brent stiffened. "What do you want?" Grayson didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He leaned forward, calm, expression unreadable. "You're going to delete every photo, every post, every trace of her name from your accounts." Brent scoffed. "Or what, you'll hit me?" "No." Grayson's tone dropped into something colder. "I won't touch you. I won't need to." Brent swallowed. "You think you scare me?" "I don't think," Grayson said quietly. "I know." He slid a folded printout across the table. Brent's face blanched. It was a photo, not of Riley, but of Brent with a man Grayson hadn't seen in years. A man tied to his past. A man who should have stayed gone. "Where did you get this?" Brent whispered. Grayson's jaw ticked. "Tell me why you're meeting with him." Brent stammered something about a loan, a favor, a mistake. Nothing that made sense, everything that made Grayson's stomach twist. The past was leaking into the present, and Riley was caught in the crossfire. She returned home to find an envelope slid under her door. No name, just a message scrawled in black ink. "You should be more careful. Some men can't protect you." A chill ran down her spine. She tried calling Grayson, but he didn't answer. He'd been distant all day, quiet, withdrawn, eyes shadowed like he carried something he didn't want her to see. Maybe she was a burden. Maybe last night had been too much. Later, as she walked past his building, she spotted him through the glass lobby doors, head down, hand pressed to a bruised knuckle he wasn't bothering to treat. Pain flickered across his face. Not physical, something deeper. Her chest tightened. Had she done this? Had he gotten hurt because of her? He looked up and saw her. For a moment, neither moved. She raised a hand, a small wave, uncertain, hopeful. He didn't come outside. He just looked at her like he wanted to, but couldn't. And then his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and his expression shifted into something sharp, dangerous. He walked fast, disappearing into an elevator before she could call out. The doors closed, and Riley knew something was very, very wrong. She shouldn't have walked home alone. The street was too quiet, too dim, the kind of silence that made every footstep behind her feel louder than it should be. Riley tightened her grip on her bag and turned into her apartment alley. A figure stepped out from behind a dumpster. Not Brent. Someone bigger. Someone whose face she recognized from the edges of Brent's photos online. Cold eyes. A smirk like he enjoyed fear. "Riley Carter, right?" he asked casually. "We should talk." Her stomach dropped. She backed up, breath trembling. Sudden footsteps thundered behind her. A strong hand grabbed her arm, not the stranger's. Grayson's. He yanked her behind him with a force that shook her. "What did I tell you?" Grayson growled at the man. "Stay away from her!" The stranger chuckled. "Relax. I'm only delivering a message. You know who it's from." Grayson's jaw clenched, something like dread tightening his features. "Leave," he ordered. The man stepped closer. "You think you can protect her this time?" Grayson moved fast, a single step that sent the man stumbling back. "Try me." The man raised his hands and backed away slowly, disappearing into the shadows. Riley's legs finally gave out. He caught her easily, heart pounding harder than it had in years. "You said you'd stay close to crowds. Why were you walking alone?" He snapped, voice too sharp, too emotional. "I didn't know someone would follow me." She shot back, pushing off his chest. "You disappeared on me. What was I supposed to think? That I'm trying to keep you safe." It slipped out too fast, too raw. She froze. He did too.
Rain began to fall, soft at first, then harder. Her voice cracked. "Safe from what, Grayson?" He exhaled shakily. "From my past, from the people tied to it. Brent isn't your problem anymore. His friend is. And that man?" He paused, eyes darkening. "He's dangerous." Riley's breath hitched. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I shouldn't be pulling you into my world." She stepped closer, eyes searching his. "It's too late. I'm already in it." He looked away, but she caught his hand, saw the bloody knuckle, the scraped skin. "Sit," she whispered, guiding him to her apartment steps. He let her clean his hand, her fingers gentle, her touch unsteady but warm. He reached up, brushing her cheek where it was reddened from the alley wall. "Riley," his voice broke softly, "I shouldn't care this much." She leaned into his palm anyway, because she already trusted him more than she should. A distant sound echoed, a car engine revving in the dark. Grayson's gaze snapped up, jaw tightening. They're not done. Rain swallowed the streetlights, turning the world into dripping shadows and blurred silhouettes. Riley hurried beside Grayson, heart pounding like it was trying to escape her ribs. He kept glancing over his shoulder, jaw clenched, muscles coiled with tension she could feel even through the storm. "Grayson, who was he?" she whispered. His pace quickened. "Someone tied to a mistake I made years ago. someone I hoped I'd never see again. Thunder rolled above them. Riley's stomach twisted. Why is he after you? He's not after me. He looked at her then, rain streaking down his face. He's after anyone close to me. Before she could respond, a hand shot out from the darkness, yanking her back. She screamed. He spun at the sound, pure instinct, sharper than fear. Riley was being dragged toward the alley by the same man from earlier, and beside him, another figure, a ghost from Grayson's past. His pulse detonated. "Riley!" He lunged forward. One man shoved Riley against a wall, the other stepped between them, smirking. "You should have stayed retired, Hale." Grayson's fists clenched. He didn't hesitate, didn't think. He attacked. The world became fists, rain, adrenaline. The pavement slammed under their feet as Grayson swung, blocked, and struck again. The second man tried grabbing Riley, but she fought, kicking, pushing, refusing to be helpless. Her voice cracked through the storm. "Grayson!" He turned just as she stumbled out of a grip and slipped on the wet concrete. She fell hard. For a heartbeat, she didn't move, and Grayson stopped breathing. No, Riley." He dropped beside her, cupping her face with trembling hands. Her eyes fluttered open, dazed, terrified. "I'm okay," she whispered. But she wasn't. Her lip was split, her palms scraped, her breath unsteady. He pulled her into his chest, relief breaking through him like a dam. "I thought I lost you," he choked out, words he hadn't let himself feel in years. "I can't. God, Riley, I can't lose you." Her fingers curled weakly in his shirt. "Then stop pushing me away." The man behind them groaned, trying to stand. Grayson snapped his gaze up, fury igniting like gasoline. He surged forward, pinning the attacker with terrifying precision until police sirens wailed in the distance. This time, Grayson didn't hide the violence, the training, the past that shaped him. Riley saw all of it and didn't look away. When the officers arrived, she stayed pressed to his side, shaking but alive. Grayson wrapped his coat around her shoulders, pulling her close, as if anchoring himself with her warmth. Rain drenched them both, washing blood, fear, and secrecy into the gutter. She looked up at him, voice soft but sure. "I'm not afraid of who you are." Grayson swallowed hard, brushing a trembling thumb along her jaw. "And I'm done pretending I don't need you in my life." The storm raged, but for the first time they faced it together. Grayson's penthouse was nothing like she expected. It wasn't cold or sterile. It wasn't filled with expensive art or intimidating furniture. It felt quiet, safe. Soft light glowed along the floor, illuminating a space built from warm wood, soft gray tones, and windows that overlooked the rain-soaked city. She sank into the couch, wrapped in one of his thick blankets, still trembling from everything that had happened. Grayson set a mug of tea in front of her, mint, steaming, gentle. "Drink," he said softly. She did. The warmth spread through her chest, loosening knots she'd been carrying for days. He sat beside her, not touching, not overwhelming, just there. Close enough that his presence was its own kind of heat. Her breath steadied, her muscles softened, and without thinking, she leaned into him. When her head touched his chest, something inside him unraveled. He rested one hand on her shoulder, hesitant at first, then settled, fingers brushing through her damp curls, slow, reassuring, necessary. Her breathing synced with his, small, quiet, grounding. He'd forgotten what it felt like to hold someone who wasn't using him, needing him, or trying to hurt him. Riley wanted nothing except honesty and closeness, and he didn't know how to give either without breaking something open. "You can sleep if you want," he murmured into her hair. She shook her head. "Not yet." So he stayed still, heartbeat steady beneath her cheek, letting her warmth anchor the parts of him he'd kept locked away. "Grayson, what happened to the woman you lost?" He exhaled slowly, fingers pausing in her hair. "She wasn't hurt because of me. She was hurt because of the people I used to be tied to. Dangerous men. Men who think connections are weaknesses." Riley's heart ached for the younger version of him, one who carried guilt he didn't deserve. "You didn't fail her," she whispered. He went quiet. "Then, you almost got hurt because of them too." She lifted her head, meeting his eyes. "And I'm still here. I want to be here." Something broke beautifully in his expression, as if he didn't believe her but desperately wanted to. He brushed a thumb across her cheek. "Then I won't push you away again." The moment held, warm, fragile, deep. Then his phone vibrated sharply on the table. Grayson reached for it. His face hardened. "Brent's been arrested." Relief washed over Riley until Grayson added, voice low, "But the man from my past, he's still out there." Rain beat against the windows like a warning. Would you stay beside someone after seeing the darkest parts of their world? The world finally felt quiet again. 2 days after the attack, the police confirmed everything. Brent's friend and the man tied to Grayson's past were both in custody. The evidence was strong. Riley's safety was no longer a question, it was a certainty. Still, Grayson insisted on getting her out of Seattle for a while, which is how she ended up in his car, driving through Montana's rolling hills, the sky stretching wide and blue, the air clean enough to taste. When his family cabin came into view, wooden, warm, tucked against a backdrop of mountains, her breath caught. "You bring people here?" she asked softly. He shook his head. "No, just you." Warmth bloomed deep in her chest. He watched her step onto the cabin porch, sunlight catching the curls framing her face. She fit here instantly, like the mountains had been waiting for her, like the silence finally had someone worthy of filling it. Inside, he brewed coffee while she wandered, touching books on shelves, smiling at old photos. The quiet between them wasn't heavy anymore. It felt like a beginning. When she turned toward him, he spoke before fear could make him retreat. "I'm done running from the things that scare me. I'm done pushing away the people I want close." Her eyes softened. "You want me close? I need you close." He crossed the room slowly, as if giving her time to walk away. She didn't. Instead, she reached for his hand, fingers sliding into his with quiet certainty. "I've spent years feeling like an option, like I had to earn being chosen. With you, I just feel wanted." His chest tightened, beautifully, painfully. He touched her cheek gently, brushing his thumb across her skin. "Riley, you were never forgettable. You were the one." Her breath trembled. "Say it again?" He leaned his forehead to hers, voice low, certain, steady. "You were the one." Her smile broke open, soft, relieved, full of something he hadn't believed he'd ever deserve. Then she kissed him. Not desperate, not rushed, just a slow, peaceful, right kiss, the kind that seals promises instead of breaking them. The mountains stood silent witness. The sunlight warmed their joined hands, and for the first time in both their lives, the future didn't feel frightening. It felt like home.
Let's keep walking into new stories together. Stay with me for the next story. Subscribe and like when you're ready. Share your next story with us. It might inspire the next story.